What is going on, people? We are Tottenham TV here, back again for another Tottenham update for you guys. As you've noticed, Ben is not in the studio with us today, so taking his place is the forever wonderful Mr. Brian Daigle in the house to go through all the Tottenham news over the last 24 hours. How you doing, Brian? Lovely to see you as always.
Always, and to be called forever wonderful. What an honour. What an honour. Good morning or afternoon to everyone. I hope everyone is having a great day, and always a pleasure with you, Simeon.
Yeah, appreciate you. And as always, go check out WeAreTottenhamTV.com for all the latest articles and written content that we have. And as well, we are all on Spotify and Apple podcasting platforms, to go check it out if you want to see audio versions of this content, or you want to hear audio versions of this content, I should say. But first off, we'll start off with a report from Jay Harris, who's the new Tottenham correspondent for The Athletic, taking over from Charlie Eccleshare. So we're going to be seeing a lot more of him, I assume. He has been talking about Tottenham's summer plans. He says, for Tottenham this summer, there is no set budget, and they'll make decisions on a player on a case-by-case basis. The club is in a strong financial position and should be able to strengthen considerably this summer. Spurs want to identify a defensive midfielder and a wide forward to add to their ranks this summer. Spurs will also move for other players depending on departures. For example, if Emerson leaves, they'll focus on a right back. If Davis leaves, they'll focus on a left-sided defender. And if Lo Celso leaves, they'll focus on an attacking midfielder. In terms of Spurs having no set budget, considering we're not in Champions League, is that something that either you don't believe, or is that a sign of Spurs' financial muscle now in the new stadium, that we could splash money even without being in Champions League?
Simeon, to be fair, I think it might be a bit of both. In all honesty, I think it might be a bit of both. What the bit that's got to me with this is it doesn't sound like we have a set plan whatsoever going forward. It sounded like we wanted to look at the front line and the midfield. And we didn't want a number 6 because Ange doesn't play with a number 6. Now we're looking for a number 6 and a wide player. Now everything is based on outgoings, and we'll replace it. To me, this is just another, here we go, we haven't got a clue. I hope it's to be wrong. But when it comes to how much the budget is, I think what you're asking is a bit of both.
Yeah, and I do wonder what the obviously it says no set budget, but I'm assuming we don't have an unlimited amount of money, so I'm sure there is a limit to it. I do wonder where that limit is, but as it says, we are in a strong financial position. We know that because how much money the stadium brings in. I know we're not in Champions League, but still going to have European football for next season. There's going to be even more events next year. So, and also I think we're one of the highest revenues as well for match days, I believe, maybe the highest in the whole Premier League. So there's no reason for Tottenham to not be in a strong position financially. But we have started the window though signing Timo Werner on loan, so that doesn't scream to me like we're going to be pushing the belt out straight away. But maybe that's a view of getting other things. In terms of what they were saying, he said they're looking for a defensive midfielder and a wide forward. So Jay Harris is insinuating Tottenham are going to prioritise a wide forward. There have been other reports saying we're going to prioritise a striker instead of a wide forward. What one for you is a priority?
Well, put it this way, if we're going to play Son as left wing, I think we desperately need a striker. Obviously, Richarlison's future is still up in the air, regardless of the like he said to that comment about he's staying. It's very, very up in the air with him. Even if he stays or he goes, we need another striker. To me, no. But listen, the number 6 has always been the number 1 target for me. But we've been told he doesn't want a number 6. He doesn't play with a number 6. But now we're being told we're looking at a number 6. So number 6 and striker are at the top of the list for me.
I mean, he definitely does play with a 6. I mean, that's where Callum McGregor used to play for Celtic. So I don't know where that comes from, where he doesn't play a 6. I guess it comes from the fact that
10, apparently
2 8s and a 10
is what people have been saying. Yeah, not myself. I've heard so many people talking that he plays with 2 8s and a 10 as opposed to a 6 8 and 10. But we'll have to wait and see, won't we?
That's what you call gung ho. What do you think of the policy that where it says Spurs will also only look at other positions regarding departures? Obviously, that's something that we've been told before, isn't it? And it's something that maybe has held us back in previous windows where we haven't gone for an upgrade because a player has either refused to leave or we haven't been able to get rid of them. So it looks like when it comes to players like Davis and Emerson and Lo Celso, we're going to be dependent on them leaving, so we can upgrade on them. What do you think of that policy?
Yeah, I mean, I can't stand this policy. It's like when we got rid of Ericsson, wasn't it? We looked to get rid of the player before bringing in his replacement. And for me, it should be the other way. It should be, right, we need to strengthen. There's certain areas that have to strengthen, regardless of outgoings. And we need to get them in before we let these people go. And to say we're doing this again, we don't know how long it's going to take to get these whatever player it is out. If it takes, let's say, 2 months to get Emerson out, that leaves us a very short amount of time to try and get the right replacement in. And that's where we struggle every single time. And it's infuriating.
But what would you say to like the counter argument, that we've got at the moment with all these loan players coming back? We're now going to have 32 players in the squad, where maximum can be 25. So how can you think about adding to that kind of number before you have shifted a reasonable number of them?
Listen, there is a case for that, but if you're going to name a 25-man squad, you want the 25 strongest players you can mention and bring to the squad. And if the other players don't make the list, they don't make the list. Yes, I know they've got to juggle the books and financially, but then we go back to the point that we started with. We're in a very, very strong financial position. So for once, we've got this. We've worked hard, or leaving the board have worked hard to try and obtain this strength in financial position. Well, we need to use that. It's very good saying, yeah, we're really well off, we're really well off, we're really well off. But we need to flex our muscles when we have this opportunity. And let's just hope we do it.
Yeah, I think, look, everything that Jay is saying here is fairly encouraging. We just got to make sure that it's not something we've heard before every summer, isn't it? That we're going to spend, we're going to rebuild, we're going to have a clear out, all these kind of things. And then every summer, I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but we maybe don't exactly have the summer we hoped. I mean, last summer was pretty good, but in general, the transfer windows haven't usually gone Tottenham's way mostly over the years in recent times, and we usually end up disappointed at the end of the end of window. So I really hope at this end of this window we do push the boat out, and we're not just going for a bunch of loan deals and things like that can save us a bit of money. And I really hope there is some signings who, if we can attain them, for example, Eze, if he is available and they have a price on him, we'll just go for it. And because he's one of those players where you just know he's going to be good for us. Like, there's just no doubt in my mind. Like a bit like Rice for Arsenal. You just knew he was going to be good. You knew he was going to fit right in. And same with Eze. There are some players where you don't need a tactical scouting report. You don't need all this justification. Sometimes when a player's there for the amount of money the team's asking, you just got to go for it. So I really hope at least one occasion we do that this summer, but we have to wait and see.
Actions speak louder than words, Simeon. That's what in all honesty, actions will speak louder than words.
Yeah, but to be fair, we are on 4th of June and we've already made a signing, so I think that's more than most people can say at the moment. So that's a positive. Next up, we are going to be talking about Conor Gallagher. Conor Gallagher, sorry, not Conor McGallagher. Conor Gallagher. Jay Harris again in his article saying Tottenham remain interested in Conor Gallagher, with both recruitment team and Ange liking the Chelsea midfielder. However, Romano has tweeted out a quote from Conor Gallagher saying, "Everyone, myself and everyone at Chelsea are excited and happy to work with Enzo Maresca. We want to get Chelsea back to where they belong." And he also tweeted it with a handshake emoji, leading a lot of people to believe that maybe that's a indication of a contract potentially getting closer. Obviously, those aren't the words of someone who looks like he's on the verge of leaving Chelsea, does it? But as long as that contract isn't officially signed, the questions will still be there.
Yeah, they will still be there, but I think when Fabrizio starts tweeting things like this and you put the little emoji with it as well, I think he signed a new contract. I for one, didn't fancy Conor. Oh, I almost said Conor McGallagher there. What have you done to me? Conor Gallagher coming, but I did understand what a lot of people are saying with he is the total Ange midfielder. This is the kind of guy that literally will drop into his system and do well. I get that. But I think the contract is signed. I think we're here later on today or before the end of the week that this is signed, sealed, delivered. Let's face it, he probably wanted his future sorted out before he went away to Germany with England, didn't he? as a lot of these players will do, so they can focus on representing their country. So I think he's going to stay at Chelsea. I said at the beginning of this last season, I think he's angling for a new contract, and it looks like he may have got it. But Simeon, the biggest thing is, if he does sign it, we were all led to believe that this was Ange's number one, wasn't it? And Spurs were going to push the boat out, and it's not the best look for the number one pick. Obviously, there's a difficulty with Chelsea and Tottenham. We all knew that. But if that's fallen by the wayside, then hopefully that means all systems go with Eze with the finances we'll have.
Oh, I hope so. When it comes to Connor, obviously I'm a big fan of his and I think he would have been a great signing, but I always believed it was going to be a very difficult deal to do, not just between Chelsea and Tottenham, which is difficult enough, but also between Conor Gallagher and Tottenham, seeing as Conor Gallagher is a Chelsea fan. So would he really want to come to Tottenham? Is that one of his goals? Would he rather stay at Chelsea or even move to a different Champions League club potentially rather than join Tottenham? And also, one of the main reasons I believe that he's not signing a contract at Chelsea is because he wants, pay parity with their top earners because he believes he's as important as them. And will Tottenham give that to him? I'm not 100% convinced either. I think they're probably going to get Connor a similar deal to what Chelsea are offering him. I think he wants 200 grand a week. And I think Chelsea are offering him like 150. I don't know if Tottenham can better that kind of wage packet, to be honest. So I always thought it was difficult. But look, nothing has changed too much as of yet, but there are indications he might be well on his way to signing contract. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with him. And I hope, it means more likely we sign Eze. That'll be brilliant. Next up is an interesting one. We're going to be talking about Alexander Isak. The Athletic, Jay Harris, has been talking about Isak. He says, there is admiration for Isak among many at Tottenham, but it would not be a cheap deal to do or easy to pull off, given they are rivals of Newcastle. Alexander Isak, Brian, from slim to none, how would you rate our chances of bringing him in?
If none was here, all the way over here. It ain't happening. Listen, my number one pick is the guy at Sporting Lisbon, Gyökeres, or how you pronounce his name. But it's only my number one pick because I think Isak is absolutely a non-starter. If Isak was available, I would move heaven and earth to get that man to this football club. I think he is a magnificent player and exactly what we need. He is phenomenal, but I just cannot see us under any circumstances reaching the numbers that Newcastle would want and then getting the deal done. I just can't see it, but I would absolutely love us to throw the kitchen sink at getting him.
You're talking at the bare minimum 100 million, aren't you? Let's be honest. For a player of that quality, 21 goals in 24 games this season, albeit there is one caveat, I guess, is he doesn't have the best injury record, does he? Last season, he picked up a big injury right at the start of his Newcastle career and was out for a few months. And then this season as well, he's only played 24 games, so he's missed quite a heavy chunk through about a third of the season through injury. So, is it worth risking that a player with that kind of injury record for that bigger price?
Well, with that kind of goal return, Simeon, 24, I think, like you said, something like 20, I think it might be a bit more than 20, roughly. Premier League, maybe 24 with 21 goals. Then you count his assists. The thing you got to look at is what would that be? 14 games he missed. Yes, it's a big chunk, but for that kind of goal return, you look at our forward line right now, what they offer, that's probably more than Kulusevski, Werner, Maddison, and a few others combined with their goals and assists, what he's got. So you got to kind of work out, yes, he may have picked up that injury, and it may be he misses a little chunk or a sub-chunk, but on that kind of goal return, that's a phenomenal achievement. If you can keep him fit for the remaining part, God knows what he's capable of.
Part of me hopes he's not available, because if he is available, I think Arsenal are going to be seriously interested in him, and that will worry me. So maybe it's a classic case of, do I want Spurs to lose to City kind of thing? Do I want Isak to be available? I'd rather him not be available.
Don't go there against him.
I'd rather him not be available so he doesn't go to Arsenal than he is available and have a slight chance of joining Tottenham. Let's talk about Ivan Toney now. And Paul O'Keefe has been talking about Ivan Toney, and he says, Tottenham do have an interest in Toney. However, Tottenham want to sign him at a fee they deem acceptable for a player in the last year of his contract. The word at the moment is Brentford are asking for more than Tottenham are willing to offer. And he followed that by saying, reportedly, Brentford want between 60 and 70 million for Ivan Toney this summer. Obviously, he is a player with 1 year left on his deal. So usually players of that kind of in that situation, the price usually drops quite a bit. You would assume, especially as the window ticks down, you think the price would go down, as they get a bit more desperate. I think we've seen this from Brentford before, at the beginning of last summer, around the same time now, we were bidding for Raya and they dug their heels in and said 40 million or no deal. All of a sudden, it got to a few weeks left of the window and they're going down as low as 27 to accept to go to Arsenal. So I don't think this is, I don't think, in my opinion, they're going to stay firm on that price, 60 to 70 million. I do think that will drop. But for you, is 60, let's say it's the lower end, let's say it's 60 million, or let's say 65, let's say it's 65 million. Is that a price you look at and you just walk away from? Or do you think, you know what, there's a deal to be done here?
Yeah, for me, if it's, I saw 40 million, but that might be the money we're willing to pay, not what Brentford are willing to. For me, this time on this opportunity, the club are absolutely bang on right. 60 to 70 million for someone in the last year of their contract, not a chance, not a chance. We shouldn't bow down to Brentford's demands on that. That's a ridiculous fee for Brentford to be quoting. The only thing, I'm not one that really wants Ivan Toney at the club. I said who I wanted as my number one target. But every time I think about him, the one thing that brings me back is, do you remember in that documentary when Jose Mourinho said we need to be horrible, certain words?
Mm-hmm.
Ivan Toney fits that bill to a T, doesn't he? That is the kind of player that will be. So on that aspect, I think he would do well for us. But he's not for me. But if it was 40 million, I could see a deal being done, but 60, 70, not a goddamn chance.
Yeah, especially because he's 28 as well, so he's not like he's a young player. I think maybe if he was 25, I think maybe there'll be a bit more conversation about that. But seeing as he's 28, maybe in 2 or 3 years he could be. Actually, I think his kind of profile should be all right in his 30s, to be honest. But I still, it's a bit more of a risk signing a 28-year-old for such big money. Obviously, he's also been out of form for a few months. I know he came back and did quite well after his ban, but last few months of the season, he's actually been a bit out of form. I think he's gone 10 games now without a goal. So it is a bit of a risk spending that amount of money. I would be more willing to kind of wait out the window, go for other options. And if he's available near the end of the window for, as you say, around 40 million, I think then we can pounce. But I think, obviously, it's within Brentford's interest right at the beginning of the window to say 60, 70 million or go away. I think that makes absolute sense. There's no reason for them to lower their price right now. For me, I really like Toney. I think he's a really good player. I think his all-round game is very underrated. He's not just a good goal scorer, really good in the air, technically a good player, but also his all-round game is really strong. He's really good at his passing. His hold-up play is exceptional. I do think he would thrive at Tottenham. Are their attitude concerned potentially? I do get the feeling that if he comes to Tottenham, those would not be an issue. In my opinion, I think he'll do his best. I do see him as being quite a professional player. You see how Brentford stood by him and how they supported him throughout his ban. I don't think you do that for a player who, that you don't believe gives your all when he's on the pitch, and I think he will, and I think he does, and I think he is a wonderful talent. But yes, he does have some issues, I guess, when it comes to him being on holiday, having a few drinks, and he says stupid things to camera sometimes, and maybe things he regrets. And he is an ambitious player. Yeah, go on.
Let me ask you, when it comes to this, obviously, we're seeing what's happening now with West Ham with Paqueta.
Yeah.
Is there, obviously, I'm not saying there is with Toney, but there's always the risk that something else could come out. You go and stump up, whatever it be, the 40 million that we're hearing that we're willing to pay, or the higher end that Brentford want. Are you willing to take that risk, thinking that something may come out? And that could be, we could buy him, and not saying that this will happen, but there's always that doubt, isn't there? Paqueta, you look at the what's his name, Toney at Newcastle. If there's more allegations that come out, and that's got to weigh heavily on Tottenham's mind.
No, that's true, and that's why they definitely shouldn't be paying over the odds just because to guard yourself against that. I think at 40 million, if you do that, your due diligence, it might be worth taking the risk. But yeah, that is definitely something to consider because we've seen other players get hit more than once with these charges. As you say, Paquetá got hit, and Toney both got hit twice, I think. Or Tonali's been hit twice. So I think definitely you got to be very careful when dealing with him. But I'd be very interested because I think he would do really well at us. I think he suits the system. I think there's a good player there, but I also feel like West Ham might be willing to put the money on the table with and they need an upgrade on Antonio. I feel like Toney could be the perfect guy for them. So I do wonder if we dilly-dally a bit, whether they'll just pounce and sign him. I think the big boys at the moment are probably gone a bit cold on him, but we'll see. Last but not least, the new kit for the new season has been launched as of today. The home kit for 2024-25 season is here, and it is kind of reminiscent of the old 2005-06 kit under Martin Jol, the blue sleeves. Let's take a look at it. Quite a nice kit. You can see Toney, modelling the kit at the moment. I kind of like the blue sleeves and the blue outline, the navy sleeves. Kind of a throwback to more fun times as a Spurs fan, albeit it did end with a bout of food poisoning. But I do really like it. I think it really looks really nice. It definitely suits Toney. What's your thoughts on the new kit, Brian?
Yeah, listen, I came on one of your shows with Ben when I said, listen, I can't wait for the day we leave Nike. Every kit is the same, and I want to see something different. They've done something different. With those blue sleeves, it's very, very, very reminiscent of the Kappa kit, like you said, the Martin Jol days. So it is a bit of a flashback. But yeah, I still can't believe they've had the nerve to use the tagline "We rise again," when the only thing that's rised is the ticket prices. That made me laugh and chuckle.
No,
yeah,
I think it's time to rise. I think is the tagline. Time to rise.
Or even that, it's like, yeah, okay, what a great tagline. But
after listen, I think that in 2017, the tagline was "Watch Us Rise," and now it's 7 years later, and it's time to rise. So it's taken us 7 years. So you're watching when they said "Watch Us Rise," they didn't let us know we're going to be waiting 7 years before it's now time to rise. So we've been watching for 7 years, and now it's time to rise. So let's see.
It's been like watching a souffle rise, hasn't it? Literally, now it's time to watch it. We've done it. But listen, I've said that I want to see something different on the Spurs home kit, so it's not so plain. They've done it, so I can't be a hypocrite and say, do you know what? They've done something different. Like you said, it takes me back to Martin Jol, and whenever I think of Martin Jol, it warms my heart and reminds me of some magical days. So they've done something different. Am I buying it and giving Spurs money? Hell no. But yeah, it's something different at long last.
Brian, we're rising as quickly as a box of matzah. How about that one?
There we go. We might be tweeting that very soon.
Brilliant. All right, nice one, guys. Appreciate your time, Brian, as always. Lovely to see you. Thank you for everyone for watching this video. We'll see you guys very, very soon. Let us know in the comment section below anything we discussed today. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.